Up to now, we have studied how matter arises at the moment of relinking, and also few moments and few time after relinking. Today, we will study Rupa at the time of death. So at the time of means the time approaching death, and also maybe after death. So at the time of death, karma-born material phenomena no longer arise, starting with the stage of presence of the 17th consciousness preceding the death consciousness. Now please look at this chart. Now you find the Patisandhi first, second line of diagrams. So there are three moments of Patisandhi: arising, presence, and disappearing or death. So at the moment of arising of Patisandhi, what arises? Karma-born matter. So that is the first moment of arising of karma-born matter. And at the presence moment, that means the second sub-moment of Patisandhi, temperature-born matter or Uduja Rupa arises. It's the first arising of Uduja Rupa. And then at the first moment of first Bhavanga arises mind-born matter. So we have here the first arising of matter born of karma, matter born of temperature, and matter born of mind. So there are these three moments. And then later on, karma born matter arises at every sub-moment all through life. And temperature born matter also arises when the Rupa reaches the present stage. Actually, from that moment on, temperature born matter arises at every moment. And then mind born matter arises only at the first moment of each, first sub-moment of each Chetas. So mind born matter arises at the first moment of Bhavanga first, and then at the first moment of Bhavanga 2 or Bhavanga second, it arises, and the first moment of third, it arises, and so on. So mind-born matter does not arise at the present stage and, say, dissolution stage. Okay, now karma-born matter. Karma-born matter must disappear at the end of one life. So karma-born matter cannot continue to exist cannot continue to exist after death. Now you know the lifespan of matter is 17 thought moments. So you can find out the last moment when karma-born matter arises in one life. A person is approaching death. And karma-born matter must disappear with the last moment of Chuti. So that means you must go backward until you get to the 17th moment. Now 17 means take Chuti as one. So when you go backward, say you come to, in this particular thought process, you come to this the Atita Bhavanga. So at the first first sub-moment of that 17th thought moment preceding the Chuti, the last moment of arising of karma-born metta. So karma-born metta arises for the last time at that moment, at that sub-moment. And karma-born metta that arises at that moment will disappear with the third moment of Chuti. Now you look under Chuti, the third moment. Final cessation of karma-born metta, right? So karma-born metta arises for the last time at the first sub-moment of 17th thought moment, reckoned backward from Chuti. And karma-born metta arises there at that moment, continues to exist until the third or last moment of Chuti. So with the cessation of Chuti Chitta, karma-born metta also ceases. So no more karma-born metta after death. So that is why you have to go backward 17 moments. So in the manual, they said, at the time of death, karma-born material phenomena no longer arise, starting with the stage of presence of the 17th consciousness preceding the death consciousness. So starting with the present moment of 17th thought moment, karma-born metta no longer arises. And karma-born material phenomena that arose earlier, that means that arose at the first moment of the 17th thought moment, occur till the death moment. That means exist till Chuti, and then cease. So that means it finally ceases with the Chuti Cheta. Following that, the consciousness-born and nutriment-born material phenomena come to cessation. Now, the manual does not say when. So we have to find out when. It simply says that consciousness-born and nutriment-born material phenomena come to cessation after that or following that. Now, in order to understand this, we must understand the arising of first mind-born matter. So mind-born matter arises at the every first sub-moment of every thought moment, right? So it means that at the first moment of Chuti Cheta, mind-born matter arises. And since the lifespan of Rupa is 17 thought moment, it must go 17 thought moments. So Chuti is one moment, Patisandhi, 2 moments, and then 15 bhavangas, 17 thought moments. So at the 15th bhavanga, 17 thought moments are full. And so at the third sub-moment of 15th bhavanga, the mind-born matter of the previous life ceases. That means how many sub-moments? How many sub-moments after Chuti? 48, right? Yeah. So 48 sub-moments after Chuti, mind-born matter of the previous life ceases finally. Okay. Then nutriment born. Now it is said that nutriment-born metta can arise even at the last moment of Chuti. So, the last moment of arising of nutriment in one life is at the third moment of Chuti. And then it must go on for 51 thought moment, sub-moments. So, we get only one moment with Chuti, right? And then we go on to Patisani Bhavanga and so on. So when we reach the 16th Bhavanga, the present stage of 16th Bhavanga, 51 sub-moments are full. And so at the present moment of the 16th Bhavanga, the nutriment-born metta of the previous life finally ceases. So it means some rupa from this life continues to exist even after death. But 17th thought moment is nothing when talking about the experiences, right? And not even one second. But to be precise and to be exact, then we must say that some material properties continue to exist even after death. And they are what? Chitta-born metta and nutriment-born metta, but not karma-born metta. So karma-born metta must cease with the cessation of Chuti Cheta, or with the cessation of this life. Thereafter, a continuity of material qualities produced by temperature persists until it becomes a corpse, something like that. Here, until it becomes a corpse means it is not to be taken literally, because the corpse may decay, right? And then even at that time there are temperature-born metta arising and disappearing, arising and disappearing. So that will go on and on and on until the end of this world, actually. Not just until the time a man is called a corpse. So even after the corpse, suppose he is buried, then the corpse will degenerate little by little. And then at that time also there are temperature-born metta arising and disappearing. So it will go on and on until the world is totally destroyed. Or if he is cremated also, then it is ashes. So when he is reduced to ashes, still there are temperature-born metta arising and disappearing. So among the four kinds of material properties, that is karma-born, chitta-born, utu-born and ahara-born, three kinds of material properties continue to exist even after death. But karma-born metta ceases together with the last moment of Chuti Cheta. So that is the order of arising and disappearing of material properties at death or the time around death. So if you understand that karma-born metta arises at every sub-moment, chitta-born metta arises only at the present moment, and nutrition-born arises only at the chitta-born metta arises only at the arising moment, and temperature-born metta arises only at the present moment. So, if we understand this, you can find out, say, when a certain type of material property arises for the last time, and when it ceases altogether, right? Let's go back again. Karma-born matter. So when is the last arising of karma-born matter? At the first moment of 17th thought moment, reckon backward from Chuti-Cheta. And it ceases, the karma-born matter that arises at the first moment of the 17th thought moment ceases altogether at the third sub-moment of Chuti-Cheta. Right? Okay. And what about Cheta-born matter? Cheta-born matter can arise even at the first moment of Chuti-Cheta. So it arises at that moment. Then it will go on until the 15th bhavanga following the Bodhisattva. So at the third moment of 15th bhavanga, mind-born matter of the previous life ceases altogether. And then nutriment-born matter. It is said that it can arise even at the last moment of one life. So we take that nutriment-born matter arises at the third moment of Chuti-Cheta. So it must go on for 51 thought moments, and so when it reaches the present or second sub-moment of 16th bhavanga, it ceases altogether. But of Udu, temperature born, it goes on and on and on. So until the end of the world. So this at the end of 5th chapter, there is a description of the Bodhisattva following Bhavanga and then Chuti, Bodhisattva, Bhavanga, Chuti, a wheel of life, right? Samsara. So that is Nama Samsara. The mind and Chetas and Chetasikas arising this, one after another. Now here, the Rupa process is indicated by the verse on page 257. Thus do the deceased beings, again in a subsequent life, material phenomena arise, starting from rebirth linking in the same way. So as soon as a person takes Bodhisattva, and there is Rupa arising, right? And then the Rupa arises in life at every moment, or at the first moment, or when Rupa reaches the present moment, and until death and a little later. Okay. This is the arising and disappearing of Rupa for Kamavajara beings. Now for Rupavajara beings. In the fine material world, the decades of nose, tongue, body, sex, and the material groups produced by nutriment are not found. Now we go back to Bodhisattva. So in the Rupavajara Loka, nose, tongue, body, and sex groups are not found. Because they don't like nose, tongue, and body, and also sex, and so these do not arise for them. So in the world of Rupavajara beings, nose, tongue, body, and sex decades are not found. Therefore, to those beings at the time of rebirth linking, there arise 4 material groups produced by karma. So 4 karma-born groups arise at the moment of Bodhisattva, and they are eye decade, ear decade, and heart base decade. Chakhu dasaka, Sota dasaka, and Vatu dasaka. And the vital nonad, Jivita Navaka. So, how many groups? 4 groups. So, 4 groups of matter arise at the moment of Patisandhi for Rupa Vajra beings. During the course of existence, that means after Patisandhi, until death, material phenomena produced by consciousness and by temperature are also found. You must add also there. If there is no also, it means a different thing. So at the moment of Patisandhi, there are only 4 decades. But in life, during the course of existence, there are these 4 decades plus those produced by consciousness and those produced by temperature. Now, how many groups are produced by consciousness? 6. And how many by temperature? 4. So, during the course of life, 6 plus 4 plus 4, right? The eye decade, ear decade, heart decade, vital nonad, 4, 6, 4, 14 altogether. So, that is for Rupa Vajra beings. Rupa Vajra being means Rupa Vajra beings except mindless beings. For mindless beings, there is a difference. So for Rupa Vajra beings, at the moment of Patisandhi, there are 4 decades. Eye, ear, heart. No, not 4 decades. 4 groups. Eye decade, ear decade, heart decade, and then vital nonad. Nonad means 9. So a group of 9 and 3 groups of 10 and 1 group of 9. And then during the course of existence, 6 decades or 6 groups born of karma, Chaita, and 4 groups born of temperature are also found. So, 4 at the Patisandhi and 14 during the course of life. Later on, we will have to find out how many rupas. Now we come to asanya sattas, mindless beings. Among the non-percipient beings, the eye, ear, heart base and sound are also not found. Now sound not found. Similarly, no consciousness-born material phenomena are found. No Chaitya rupas. Therefore, at the moment of their rebirth linking, only the vital nonad arises. So there is only 1 group arising at the moment of relinking for asanya sattas. During the course of existence, material phenomena produced by temperature, with the exception of sound, continue. So you look at the groups caused by temperature. How many are there? 4, right? From these 4, you leave out what consists of sound. So the second group we cannot take, right? Saddha Navaka, because there is sound. And then the last one, Saddha Lahuta Di Dwadasaka also. Right? So from among the 4 Uttuja groups, there are only the first one and the third one. So there are only the first and the third groups in the world of mindless beings. So that means at the moment of Patisandhi there is one group, and during life there are three groups, right? The same one at the moment of Patisandhi plus these two. There are no groups or no rupa born of Chaita, and also no rupa born of ahara, born of nutriment. Although there is nutriment in their body, they do not get nutriment from outside, and so there is no nutriment born rupa. It is the same with rupa vajra brahmas, the other rupa vajra brahmas. So the other rupa vajra brahmas also, for them also, there are no rupa born of nutriment. It is said that they do not eat anything, but they survive with PD. So it is a PD. PD is their food, and since they do not eat anything, they do not have rupa born of ahara, because rupa born of ahara needs external ahara. When external ahara and internal ahara come together, and there is the rupa born of ahara is born. So for rupa vajra beings, both with mind and without mind, there are no material properties born of ahara. Now, let us go to the end and then come back. Thus, in the three cases of the sensuous world, the fine material world and non-percipient beings, the occurrence of material phenomena should be understood as twofold, by way of rebirth linking and the course of existence. That means there are two kinds of arising of matter in these beings, at the moment of Patisandhi and during life. In the sense planes, 28 material phenomena are found. So in the Kamavajra world, all 28 can be found. In the fine material planes, 23. What are missing? Nose, tongue, body, sex. Nose, tongue, body, and two sexes. So 5. 28 minus 5, 23. So in the Rupavajra world, except Asanyasata, only 23 material properties are found. Although they do not have nose sensitivity, tongue sensitivity and body sensitivity, they have noses, tongues and bodies. Only they lack sensitivity. And although they are without sex, it is said that they look like men. Among the non-percipients, or for the non-percipients, 17. Okay. From this chart you can pick the 17 very easily. Right? At the left end of the chart. So what are the 17? 4 essentials. And then Rupa, Nosada, Gandha, Rasa, Potava, yes. And then Jivita, Ahara, Akasa, Lahuta, Mududa, Kamanyada, and then Upajaya, Santati, Jarada, and Nijada. So altogether 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 17, right. So only these 17 material properties are found in the world of mindless beings. So in the world of mindless beings, there are 4 essentials. There is rupa, and there is smell, there is taste, and there is touch, actually. Although they have no sense of touch, but they have potaba. And then life principle, and then nutriment, and then space between the material groups, and then lightness and so on, and then characteristics. Now, at the moment of conception, sound, mutability, decay and death are not found. So at the moment of patisandhi, there is no sada, no sound. No sound can arise. And then no mutability, vikara. That means kaya vinyati, vichi vinyati, lahuta, mududa, kamanyada. And then decay, charada. Because it is, here patisandhi means at the very first moment of patisandhi. Because at the second moment there is jarada. So the patisandhi here means the first sub-moment of that patisandhi. And death are not found. So these are not found at the moment of conception. In the course of existence, during life, there is nothing that is not obtained. So all 28 material properties can arise. Okay, now you know how matter arises and also finally disappears in one life. And as hinted by the verse on page 257, Burmese teachers of old have formulated what is called rupa viti. We don't find in the commentaries. This is the product of Burmese teachers. So, if there is a process of thought moments, there can be a process of material properties only. And so they designed this. It's very complicated and also not exact. It is just a glimpse, just a sample of how the material properties arise. So I will not go through all these. It's too complicated. But let us see how much we can understand. And although there are many groups arising at the moment of patisandhi and so on, here we take only one group, that is Suddhataka, because the other groups may or may not arise at the moment of patisandhi. For example, the group containing sada, group containing sound will never arise at the moment of patisandhi. So here, the pure octet, the Suddhataka, is meant here. Okay. Now, at the patisandhi moment, there are three sub-moments: genesis, stasis, and disease, or you may call by any other name. So, The first moment is arising, and the status is the presence, and the disease is disappearing. So at the first moment, for womb-born beings, like human beings, how many kalabas are there? 3 groups, right? You remember those 3 groups? Where do you find them? Kaya, Bhava, and Vatu, right? Oh, page 255. Towards the bottom. To the womb-born creatures, there arise at rebirth 3 decades. The decade of body, decade of sex, and decade of heartbeat. Kaya, Bhava, Vatu. Now, we'll take those 3. So at the moment, at the genesis moment, or arising moment of Patisandhi, 3 kalabas, let us call them the kalaba, right? 3 kalabas arise. And these 3 will last until the 17 moments, right? Okay. And it is said that karma-born matter arises at every sub-moment, right? Karma-born matter arises at every sub-moment. So at the steady stage, 3 arises again, and in addition 3 arises. And so there are 6, right? The 3 that arises at the genesis moment continues to live, right? And then at the second moment, 3 are added. And at the third moment, the 6th moment, another 3 added. So there are 3 at the genesis moment, 6 at status moment, and 9 at disease moment. That is for Patisandhi. And following Patisandhi, there is Bhavanga, right? Or there are many Bhavangas. So the first Bhavanga, 9 plus 3, 12. Again, status at status, 12 plus 3, 15. And then disease, at disease, 15 plus 3, 18. So you add 3, 3, 3, 3 all through until you reach where? Manodwara Vajana, right? So from there, the number is always 153 because 3 arise and 3 disappear, right? Because the 3 that arise at the genesis moment of Patisandhi disappear at the 16th Bhavanga moment, right? And at the genesis moment of Manodwara Vajana, 3 are added. Although 3 are added, since 3 have disappeared, the number is the same. So from that moment, the number is always the same. That same means 3 disappear, 3 arise, 3 disappear, 3 arise. So the number will go on and on and on the same. So that is for karma-born kalabas. You understand now? Huh? So in order to understand this, first you must understand that karma-born matter arises at every sub-moment. And for human beings, let us say for human beings, at the moment of Patisandhi, 3 kalabas arise: body, sex, and heart. So 3 at genesis, 3 at status, 3 at disease, and so on. And so we add 3, 3, 3, 3 until we come to 153. And after that, the number remains constant because at the moments following that, 3 disappear and 3 arise. Now, those born of Chitta. Now, mind-born Rupa arises when? At the first moment of first bhavanga. And it arises at every first moment. Not every sub-moment, but every first moment. So, bhavanga first. At the moment of bhavanga first, there is one kalapa, born of Chitta. And it continues to exist. But at the second moment, no addition. At the third moment, no addition. But at the first moment of second bhavanga, one group arises. So there are two groups. And second moment, no addition. Third moment, no addition. And then at the bhavanga 3, one should be added. So we get 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, and so on. Okay, until when? Until Manodhara Vajana. And after that, the number remains same, 17, 17, 17. Because one disappears and one arises. So one disappears, one arises, and so on and so on. So from that time, it is constant. Okay, now Udduja. Temperature-born matter can arise when? Beginning with the status moment of Patisandhi. So that means the Kammaja Kalapa, 3 Kammaja Kalapas that arise at the genesis moment of Patisandhi reaches their status moment beginning with status of Patisandhi. Right? So when they reach that moment, they produce 3 Uddu-born Kalapas. And then the Kammaja Kalapas that arise at the status moment of Patisandhi reach their status stage at the stage of decease of Patisandhi. Since they have reached their status stage, they produce 3 more. So there are 6. It's a little complicated, right? The 3 Kammaja Kalapas that arise at the genesis moment of Patisandhi, those 3 Kalapas will exist until the 17th moment, right? Okay. Now, the lifespan of Rupa is 51 sub-moments. And the first moment is their genesis. And 51st moment is their decease. And the 49 moments in between are their status stage. So the genesis stage and decease stage of Chaita and Rupa are the same. But the status stage of Rupa and Chaita are different, right? So, the 3 Kalapas that arise at the genesis moment of Patisandhi reach their status moment at the status moment of Patisandhi. So when they reach the status moment, they become strong. And so they produce 3 Kalapas. And then the 3 Kalapas that arise at the status moment of Patisandhi reach their status moment at the deceased moment of Patisandhi. So they can become strong and they produce 3 more. And then the 3 kalabas that arise at the deceased moment of Patisandhi reach their stated stage at the moment of genesis of first bhavanga. So they produce 3 more. And so you add 3, 3, 3. So 3, 6, 9. Oh, okay, now 13, not 12, huh? Not easy. Okay, why we add 4? Yeah, now the Chaitasa Kalapa, which arises at the genesis moment of first bhavanga, reaches its stated stage at the stated stage of bhavanga the first. So at the moment of status of first bhavanga, we add 4 kalabas, not 3. 3 is as usual by Kamaja kalabas 3, but here Chaitya kalapa reaches its status moment at the status moment of bhavanga first, and so it produces 1, and so we add 4 and not 3. 3 by Kamaja kalapas and 1 by Chaitya kalapa. So we add 4 kalabas, and so there are 13 and not 12. And later we add just 3. And then at every status moment we add 4, right? Because the Chaitya kalapa that arises at the genesis moment of second bhavanga reaches its stated stage at the stated stage of bhavanga, second bhavanga, and so it produces 1. So we add 4 to 19, and so we get 23, and so on and so on. So at status moment you add 4, and at other moments you add 3. Okay. Then Uttuja 188. Is it correct? Oh, 170. Look at the next page. Manodhara Vajana. Now there, beginning with the status stage of Manodhara Vajana, there is no increase in numbers. All 170, 170, right? Why? Now, the 3 that are caused by the Kamaja Rupas disappear at that moment. So that means 3 disappear, 4 arise. That means only 1 more. That is why there is 170 and not 173. So only 1 more. And then later on 1 more, and so on. Okay. So this is just a glimpse of what we can explore if we want to, the arising of matter in one life. And here, when we say 3 kalabas, 6 kalabas, and so on, we do not mean only 3 groups, but 3 kinds of groups, because there may be many of those groups. But according to with regard to the kinds of groups, there are only these 3 kinds. So when we say 3 kalabas, we do not mean that there are only 3 groups, but 3 kinds of groups. So let us say Kaya group, right? Kaya, Bhava, and Vatu group. So there may be thousands of Kaya groups. There may be thousands of Bhava group. there may be thousands of Vatu groups. But we call them 3 groups because there are 3 kinds of groups. Okay, this is process of rupa, or in Pali we call rupa viti. So rupa viti is not mentioned in any commentaries or whatever, but in Burma, especially in olden days, students have had to study this also. There are many more actually. Now we come to the last section of the 6th chapter, and that is on Nibbana. Four ultimate truths. So, Citta, the first ultimate truth, is treated in the 1st chapter, and then Ceitasikas are treated in 2nd chapter, and in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, both Cettas and Ceitasikas are treated, and in the 6th, Rupa is treated. So only one left, Nibbana. And it's a very short description of Nibbana in this book. So Nibbana is termed supramundane. In Pali, Lokuttara. You know Lokuttara, right? Loka and Uttara, transcending the Loka. Loka here means the world of 5 aggregates of clinging. So Nibbana is called Lokuttara because it transcends the 5 aggregates of clinging, the world of 5 aggregates, and is to be realized by the knowledge of the 4 paths. So Nibbana is not nothingness. Nibbana is something. That is why it can be realized by the knowledge of the four paths. That means Nibbana is a direct experience for those who have gained enlightenment. Only when a person gains enlightenment can his mind take Nibbana as object. At the moment of enlightenment, Magga Citta arises, right? And that Magga Citta takes Nibbana as object. So, those who have experienced Magga and Phala can experience Nibbana or can take Nibbana as object, direct. But for Putthojanas, it is not direct knowledge. It is inferential. So, to be realized by the knowledge of the 4 paths means Nibbana is a direct experience for those who have gained any one of the 4 path knowledges. It becomes an object to the paths and fruits. That means it is the object of paths and fruits. It is the object of Magga and Phala Cittas. So we learn about this in the 3rd chapter, right? In the 3rd chapter there is one section that deals with objects. So Lokuttara Cittas all take Nibbana as object. So Nibbana is the object of Magga and Phala. And the commentary explains that by this phrase, or by this sentence, Nibbana is the object of Magga and Phala, the author wants us to understand that for the unenlightened persons, it is to be understood through inference. So what we understand about Nibbana is not direct knowledge, but through inference. Now there is what is called Magga and Phala, or there is what is called free freedom from mental defilements. Although nowadays we cannot see, or we do not see arahants, in the olden days they may see arahants, and they may really see people who are freed from mental defilements altogether, like the Buddha and so on. So when we see that there is what is called the eradication of mental defilements, we can infer that there is something which is not conditioned phenomenon, and which is not concept. That is the object of the magga and phala. And that object is nibbana. So by inference, those who have not yet reached enlightenment can understand through thinking in this way that the nibbana is the object of magga and phala. So when we see I'm repeating, when we see or when we understand the eradication of mental defilements, we can infer that there must be some knowledge or whatever that can accomplish the eradication of mental defilements, and any citta or any knowledge which takes conditioned things or concepts as object is incapable of achieving eradication of mental defilements. It is only the knowledge that can take nibbana as object can eradicate mental defilements. So since there is the eradication of mental defilements, we can infer that there must be something which is the object of magga and phala, which accomplish the eradication of mental defilements. And so with such an inference, people who have not yet become enlightened understand nibbana. So nibbana is direct experience to those who have attained enlightenment, and for others, nibbana should be understood through inference. And it is called nibbana because it is a departure from craving, which is an entanglement. Now the word nibbana is explained here as composed of ni and wana. You have to understand Pali grammar to know why wana becomes bb, the v becomes b. This is in the domain of grammar. So the word nibbana is composed of ni and wana. And wana is explained here to mean entanglement or stitching together. And that stitching together is nothing but craving. So long as there is craving, there will be rebirth, right? So the craving is like a stitch, like a thread that combines one thing with the other. So that stitching or that thread is called wana in Pali. And nibbana means getting out of. So nibbana means getting out of craving. Getting out of craving means nibbana cannot be the object of craving, or craving cannot nibbana as object. So it is beyond the range of craving. And also there is no craving in Nibbana. So Nibbana is said to be out of vana, out of craving. That is why it is called Nibbana. So when they are put together, then V is changed to B, and so it becomes Nibbana. Now that is the meaning described in this manual. Another explanation is given in the guide here. So there, Nibbana, etymologically, the word Nibbana, the Pali form of the better known Sanskrit Nirvana, is derived from a verb, nibbati, meaning to be blown out or to be extinguished. It thus signifies the extinguishing of the worldly fires of greed, hatred and delusion. So this is another meaning. This is also explained in the commentaries, but not here in this manual. So Nibbana is called Nibbana because through Nibbana, the fires of greed, hatred and delusion are extinguished. That is why it is called Nibbana. So in that case, Nibbana is derived from the verb nibbati, to be blown out or to be extinguished. But the Pali commentators prefer to treat it as the negation of or departure from the entanglement, vana, of craving, the derivation which is offered here. Actually, the Pali commentators give both these meanings. The extinguishing, to be extinguished, and also to depart from or to get out of craving. As long as one is entangled by craving, one remains bound in samsara. So long as there is craving, we cannot get out of samsara, the cycle of birth and death. But when all craving has been extirpated, one attains nibbana, deliverance from the cycle of birth and death. So nibbana is explained or derived in two ways. The derivation shown here in this manual is ni plus vana, getting out of or departure from vana, which is entanglement or which is craving. And the other meaning is nibbana is something through which the fires of greed, hatred and delusion are extinguished. Though nibbana is only one, according to its individual essence, and that is peace. By reference to a basis for distinction, it is twofold, namely, the element of nibbana with the residue remaining and the element of nibbana without the residue remaining. So there are two kinds of nibbana. First, we must understand that nibbana is only one, according to its intrinsic nature, because nibbana is peace. But we can say that there are two kinds of nibbana. And that distinction is a basis for reference, and so that distinction means being with remaining and being without remaining. So when we look at it in that way, being with remaining and being without remaining, we can say that there are two kinds of nibbana. The first one is called sa upadisesa. I want you to be familiar with those words. Sa upadisesa. That you see the word in the Pali section. tat etam sabhavato eka vidambi sa upadi sesa nibbana dhatu. And the second one is anupadi sesa nibbana dhatu. Now there upadi sa upadi sesa. Sesa means remaining. Upadi means aggregate. Sa means with. So with aggregates remaining. The element of nibbana dhatu. The element of nibbana which is with the aggregates remaining. And anupadi sesa means the opposite of that. So the element of nibbana which is without aggregates remaining. So in that, look at that way, there are two kinds of nibbana. Now, when a person attains nibbana or realizes nibbana, or let's say becomes an arahant, he extinguishes all mental defilements. So all mental defilements are gone for him. But what remains? His body and other chetas and chetasikas, right? So he still, an arahant still has the physical body and some chetas and chetasikas. So they are called remaining because when the mental defilements are eradicated, they remain because they cannot be eradicated. So an arahant's mind and metta are called here upadi sesa, aggregates remaining after the eradication of mental defilements. So the nibbana which a person realizes while he still has this body and mind is called sa upadi sesa nibbana. Nibbana experienced or realized while he is alive. Anupadi sesa means no more remaining aggregates. That means the nibbana which becomes evident after his death. So when he dies, his mind and also his body disappear altogether, and no more arising of mind and body. So that kind of nibbana is called nibbana without the aggregates remaining. So that means a nibbana after the death of an arahant or a Buddha. So there are two kinds of nibbana. The first kind of nibbana is also called kilesa parinibbana, extinguishing of kilesas. And the second kind of nibbana is called khanda parinibbana, extinguishing of the remaining aggregates. So kilesa parinibbana and khanda parinibbana. Kilesa parinibbana is the same as sa upadi sesa nibbana. And khanda parinibbana is the same as anupadi sesa parinibbana. So the the presence or absence of the aggregates is a basis for saying that there are two nibbanas. It is threefold according to its different aspects, namely void, signless, and desireless. So it can also be described as of three kinds of nibbana. According to its different aspects. So these three aspects we call three kinds of nibbana. So the first one is what? Void. In Pali, Sunya or Sunyata. Here, Sunya means what? Devoid of greed, hatred and delusion. And also because it is devoid of all that is conditioned. So two explanations are given for the word devoid or sunya. It is sunya, it is devoid of greed, hatred and delusion. And it is devoid of all that is conditioned. There is nothing that is conditioned in Nibbana, and Nibbana itself is unconditioned. And the second name is what? Signless. Here also the greed, hatred and delusion are called sign, or the being conditioned is called a sign. So it is called signless because it is free from the signs of greed, hatred and delusion, and also free from the signs of all conditioned things, the same explanation. And last, it is called desireless because it is free from hankering of greed, hatred and delusion, and also because it is not desired by craving. Not desired by craving means it is not the object of craving. So, according to these aspects, we can say that there are three kinds of Nibbana, but actually there is only one Nibbana by its intrinsic nature, which is peace. So, first there is one Nibbana, and it can be two kinds of Nibbana, depending upon the presence or absence of the remaining aggregates. And also it can be three Nibbanas depending on its aspects. So these three aspects are what? Sunya, void, and then in Pali, animita, signless, and the third is apanihita, apanihita, desireless, or not desired. Okay. And that we come to the end of the chapter. Great seers who are free from craving declare that Nibbana is an objective state. So Nibbana is a real state. It is not nothingness, which is deathless. It is deathless because it is beginningless. If there is a beginning, there must be an end. So we must understand it very, very clearly. Because most of the time we are not fair in our aspirations, in our desires. We don't want the end, but we want the beginning. Right? So if you do not want end, you must not want the beginning. So if you do not want death, you must not want the birth. When there is birth, there is death. It is natural law. So here Nibbana is said to be deathless because it is beginningless. We cannot say when Nibbana arises and when it disappears. And it is absolutely endless. So there is no end, simply because there is no beginning. And it is unconditioned. The Nama and Rupa are conditioned by other Nama and Rupa. But Nibbana is not conditioned. So Nibbana is never a result of anything. Nibbana is never conditioned by any kind of conditioning. And it is unsurpassed. That means it has no equal. In the Pali, there is a play of words. Now, the great seers who are free from craving, in the Pali, Vana Mukta. Now, the author takes the word Vana from the word Nibbana. Nibbana comes from Ni-Vana. And so Vana is here used to describe those who are free from craving. So those who are free from craving, in Pali, Vana Mutta. This is the style of authors sometimes. They may use similar words that sound similar. So Nibbana and Vana, like that. So, thus, as fourfold, the Tathagatas reveal the ultimate realities. So the Buddhas reveal the ultimate realities as of four kinds. And they are consciousness, mental factors, matter, and Nibbana. So this is the end of the section on Nibbana, and this is the end of the 6th chapter, and this is the end of the description of all four ultimate realities. So we can stop here if we want to. Because we have come to the end of all four ultimate realities. Okay.